Colleagues, good afternoon. For those who came here or watches us on TV. Today, we get together here in order to listen to hear the four stories of the successful mayors who, over the last few years, managed to have a systemic approach, not to make their cities warm, so to say, to make their cities more energy efficient, and to obtain better results for their respective communities. I do appreciate the comment of our guest, the deputy mayor of Dolyna, Ivano-Frankivsk Oblast, Smoliy, Mr. Lutsk, Yuriy Fomichev from Slavutych, Mayor Vitaliy Lukov from Voznesensk, Mykolaiv region, Yakovlev, Deputy Mayor of Lutsk, Volyn region, Yuriy Fomichev of Slavutych, and Andriy Kyrchiv, Executive Director of the Ukrainian Association of Energy Efficient Cities, how they can use this approach. We have 10 minutes at the disposal of each mayor or representative of the municipality. We took several figures which could be the basic one today, but the major thing which we would hear from you is how you managed to achieve those results. What is the results for you? What the community obtained as a result of the program associated with the energy efficiency, where you found not the money, not the opportunities, but the partners who managed to involve. We'll start with the Dolyna, Ivano-Frankivsk region. By the way, in the end of this room, you can find the handouts. And actually, Dolyna managed to reduce the energy carriers consumption by 50% and more. So my question is how we managed to do that and how difficult it was to achieve. Please leave this presentation on the screen. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. It's a pleasure to present the experience of our small town. I'll start from this. I represent the smallest city out of the present here, less than 20,000 strong population. This is the kind of Ivano-Frankivsk region. And we are talking about the smaller district cities. It's a typical one. We can say that whoever does something, he can achieve results. The results we achieved, they are not situational or whatever was at the expense of some kind of mega project. This is a result of the multi-year effort. We started this work back in 2007-2008 based on political will, which is very important. My colleagues are going to talk about that as well, perhaps. So the desire to start this work in this or another city, it was very difficult to do that because the agenda of 2007 and 8. So please be a bit slow down, please, because we have the simultaneous translation. In fact, when in those days it was very difficult for the mayors or other officers of the local level, even national level, to think about energy efficiency as a topical problem, which invites its resolution for a number of reasons. Number one is populism. Populism, which lasted until recently, if we are talking about the reformation and talking about the price for the gas, it was about 1 hryvnia for the budgetary organization, so for the local population it was complex, but nobody could say that 8 years later the price will be such a large one and it will take a lot of the big share in the expenditures of different organizations and domestic estates. Even in those days, the budgetary sphere paid more than the population. For many mayors, that was become the stimulus to start that work because the energy resource which were consumed, their share was rather big in the August budget expenditures, which didn't allow them to develop further. In the dynamics which our European partners were talking, the price for the natural gas, which was big enough for us even then, and they were talking that this is going to skyrocket by 3-4-fold, and we actually this was the case, in fact, and The only thing which can affect is the amount of consumption. If you did not anything about that, then this trend of expenditures would grow year in, year out, which would not allow us to invest in any type of development. We started from the political will, from some soft project which was associated with information awareness campaign with the local population. We started with infrastructure project back in 2010 when our partners could see some of our efforts, because some of our European partners, and this could be corroborated by the fact of some of the energy efficiencies in Ukraine, they want to see the feedback from the part of the cities. If the city is prepared to invest at least one hryvnia in their energy efficiency project, their partners will find another 10 hryvnia for the successful project. We can call those projects pilot project, because their objective is not to resolve the problem or all the problems of the city, not to provide the good insulation of all the buildings or kindergartens or to replace all the boilers. They would like to help the cities to start this process. That was the case in our city. We started to provide better heat insulation in our schools, educational institutions. We introduced pilot project in order to replace the traditional fuel sources with non-traditional fuel sources. We started to work with the housing stock, which was very difficult to invest in under the available legislation, and this allowed us to understand what we can do, that we are capable of implementing those projects and introduce the changes and transformations. So we succeeded in that because we started to involve the funds or the international loan funds. We were not afraid of taking those loans after we carried out the modernization of the heat insulation in our city. For 60% of the budgetary buildings of the city, they have been heat insulated with new windows, new doors, etc., etc. Moreover, in 50% of those institutions, when we reduced the heat consumption, we turned them into different sources of energy, non-traditional ones. Then we came up with we could understand what are our needs for different resources, which helped us to adequately calculate the necessary investments in order to replace the available equipment working on gas or whatever else, and which enabled us today to switch to more complex kind of projects. We're talking about housing stock. We are implementing big European project, 1 million euros. We are working on providing the heat insulation for housing in our city, and we expect in 3 years from now we will have more than 50% of all the houses or housing buildings heat insulated, involving different funds, including the foreign investments in their local budget. Then we saw that we managed to achieve this figure, 62%. This is the decrease of our consumption of heat, and 15% in the domestic sector. We are just at the beginning of the road. Actually, talking about European commitments, the agreement between mayors is called to reduce the consumption of traditional energy sources at least by 20%. We already achieved that figure, and we are prepared to do more and more, as it's been done in Europe, where they plan minus 80% at the cost of changing or replacing traditional source of energy with non-traditional. And the example of our small city demonstrates that any city in Ukraine, if they start a good time this effort within the medium or middle term perspective, they can do that, provided they have necessary partners. They can achieve even better results. This is very briefly. This is very good remark regarding the team. As far as I know, that the energy managers are also involved in Dolyna, who are responsible for different components of infrastructure. Very briefly, how we found them, how made them to work, and how motivated those people are. Energy management may be the first step to be taken by a city if they start to do something about energy efficiency without understanding how much we consume, not within months, but on everyday basis. And in Europe, they start talking about hourly, by hour consumption. Otherwise, we cannot see where are our losses, etc. Energy management is we should provide on a daily basis. Today, they have to have this information, which enables us to promptly intervene and not to allow this kind of the subjective factor energy consumption. So, in each budgetary organization, there are employees of this kind of managerial staff. We're talking about kindergarten and other. They have all those positions. Also, we have the energy manager who takes care of the database, and on an everyday basis, they receives all the data, which he analyzes on an hourly basis. And he analyzes whether one trend in one of the institutions or organizations is beyond the boundaries of this trend. He has to report to the managers in order to respond to take necessary steps. Not waiting till the end of the month, but just to take care of as soon as this problem appears. And one of the steps we took in 2008 at the beginning of our project, we can talk about 10% decrease of the consumption of traditional energy carriers, and we have to start with that. Those people are motivated through their salaries, and there is a system of bonuses, of stimuli, and there is a system of punishment if somebody fails to do properly his or her work. We actually polish the system, we reach a good level with its existence, and we are absolutely satisfied with the results. Again, you mentioned the figure that the majority of financing you received from the international sources. How easy it is to work with the international assistance. I already mentioned at the beginning that any foreign partner, they like very much to work with those who pioneer any project in this sphere, for example, in the soul of Ukraine. Starting from 2008, this pool for international technical assistance among the competition was not high enough. There were not many municipalities or the teams who were introducing some kind of the efforts, and it was not understood clearly what they need that money for. There were some projects associated with replacement of boilers, etc., but we were sure without any management, we cannot switch over to some kind of replacement with boilers. That was illogical. When we based our energy efficiency policy, we demonstrate to our partners that we are taking stage-by-stage approach regarding modernization, replacement of the equipment available. We received the assistance of our European partners who helped us to finance those pilot projects. And later on, those projects which were financed by international assistance, they actually grew into to provide us possibility to interact more and more funds to such projects in Ukraine. We are talking about the diverse projects which provide the loans under the preferential interest rate. You have to understand what you need that for. You have to have a clear vision, understanding that you are moving forward in a very gradual manner in the correct direction. And our partners, they wish to provide finances for this or another project or international assistance-related project. The donors actually do not have to look for the donors, but donors themselves try to find us. Okay, now we are talking about the regional center, Lutsk region, which managed to save over the last year 12 million hryvnia. And the floor is given to Alexander Delazinovich, Director of Department of Economic Policy of the city. As far as I understand, you have the municipal energy plan. How it works in big cities? Because I have my understanding is that in small cities easier to do.
Good afternoon, everyone. We were able to save 24 million hryvnia, 12.4 million hryvnias, and as the previous speaker said, we also have the Department of Energy Efficiency that monitor daily the use of energy resources, and we see if they spend more, and we deal with the situation and react to the situation. As to the development of the plan, we signed the strategy till 2020, and in November last year it was prolonged till 2025. So we work with foreign partners, so Northern Financial Cooperation NEFCO, and they provide loans for our city. And in 2015, 2016, we warmed the houses of budgetary sphere institutions, and the funds are provided, and we will modernize schools and kindergartens, and also hall for youth. And also we started the cooperation from European Bank for Reconstruction and Development to modernize heating supply and to replace the boilers, and we will attract 10 million from the bank, and also 4 million. These are grant funds, and as of today a tender was announced to buy 5 megawatt boiler to provide the heating of water for several regions of our town. Also, our communal enterprises have cooperation with international institution, and water supplier will be provided with the NEFCO fund to modernize the system of water supply, the replacement of boilers, and the network that will provide the economy of the resources for energy resources. Can you tell us, please? Maybe there are many towns and cities where they signed the plans, where they have the systems you've mentioned, the system that follow the use, and no one take care of it, because there are many communal enterprises they earn on losses, and the deputies that adopt an energy plan do nothing to improve the situation. At the same time, Lutsk was able to attract funds through international organizations, and the result will get the result. How to negotiate and to agree with people who work as they used to, how to change the trend, how to agree. As to agreement in our town, we have there are the Union of People of Multi-Flat Houses. Previously, we had now we have 274 such unions, and some of them took loans in order to provide warming of their houses, to replace windows to warm the walls. And from the city budget, we have the program to support OSBB that was adopted in 2011, and the to compensate the interest rate. 110,000 was provided, and now it's about 380,000, and there is one more program to support the repair works, and the funds are allocated to create unions. Also, 70% of financing goes from the budget and 30% by the residents. Until 2015, there was an analog program, 18 per 20% it was. So due to Slavutych and Bondaruk and creation of the unions of multi-flat buildings, this issue of attracting the funds is solved, and of course this is done with the help of the local budget too. So we go to the south, Voznesensk town. So 20% of reduction, this is their task, to economize on energy resources. And how are you going to plan this? This has been done. This is not only due to our work, but also because of reduction of production. But you said about successful mayors, but these are successful communities, because mayors, whether they like it or not, they are replaced, and it's very difficult to make a big step forward in 5 years in such areas of energy saving and resources saving. So for 10 years, Voznesensk town is the member of energy efficient towns of Ukraine. And these are the meetings several times a year in wonderful places of Ukraine. And where is money? As they usually ask. The money appears, but first we should have some experience and the wish to do something. It's difficult to work separately. We should have comprehensive approach in order to achieve results in our community. So many people were born at that time when people did not think about energy resources. This was the least of their borders. So first we should convince ourselves, and then we should convince others. This is the main task of city administration, people who took responsibility for this community, because finances are lacking. They are not enough in order to quickly achieve results. Only when each member of community understands that this is needed, that this is important, only in this case it will yield results. So in this 10 years, the community made a huge step forward, because each project had some educational component. And now we have several community organizations, youth organizations that grew in the period of development of our community, and they support themselves through participation in different projects, and also they bring a huge help to local community and local administration, because they bring innovative information and material contributions for the community. And you created a revolver fund that helps the union of flat owners, and also they created the legal consultation office that are provided, that help to conclude credit agreements with the unions, because these unions are represented by the heads of these organizations. These heads took responsibility for these houses. They took responsibilities to manage these multi-storied buildings, and this person can be a simple person without any professional qualification. So the administration should help, but if, for example, this is a young, successful person, there is a different attitude towards such a person from the side of the community, and the result will be better. And I would focus the attention not only on the funds, but we should educate people, because this is really important. And this does not bring immediate result. It's very difficult to follow it. You can follow it through the years. And here I believe that community of the town of Voznesensk made a huge step forward. As to motivation of the governmental bodies, local government, this is economy, first of all. If we have clear health and educational funding, we can save on energy resources, and in this way we can improve health and education, and or we should finance them additionally from the budget, because school should function and the hospital should function and they should work better. So in this way, I would say about two main tasks. First, to educate and to establish dialogue, fair dialogue without populism, that the tariff is like cost for products. It cannot be reduced. It should be objective. And secondly, we should educate people that we should, each of us, if a mayor, for example, took a loan and showed that this loan is for example, you take 7,000 and 4,000 you return to this back. So this gives results, and many people of Voznesensk took these loans from the government, because first people didn't believe in this, and after these funds that were lost, for example, in a shed bank, people don't trust the system. So we should motivate people to save. There should be money for education and for health care. So if we work on this and focus correctly, so any city and town will be doomed to success.
I'm also interested in one of the data contained in your presentation, that the overwhelming majority of the budgetary organizations, they went through the so-called energy audit. So what did you get as a result of that? Again, like in Dolyna, for 10 years now, we've been monitoring the situation on an everyday basis, owing to the project, or joint project, and owing to our participation in the energy efficient cities of Ukraine organization. We are kind of the underwriters, let's say, or let's say signatories to this agreement, and we developed the energy development plan. And for those reasons, I mean, educational, self-education allowed us to participate in good, nice projects and to obtain very good and nice services of the leading companies who carried out the kind of preliminary energy audit of all our organizational institutions. Now we have the map, or let's say the plan, where we can look for different funds, or local budgetary funds, or some other source of funding, in order to decrease the burden on us, actually what we emit into the atmosphere. This is kind of a joint effort. If we may, very briefly, 800,000 euro for the center. It was a big project which you actually obtained this this funding for the building of the hospital. How You managed to get that. Once again, I would repeat myself. First of all, the fact that we are participant of the energy efficient cities of Ukraine, and maybe this kind of advertisement, but this we are talking about the social responsible participant, and the city of Voznesensk has always been participant in all the promising actions. As soon as we heard that there is potential help from the European Union, and if you're the signatory of the agreement between the mayors, and you could stand a chance to get a good grant from EU, so we used one trick. We understood that the small city is not very much experienced, or we do not have a lot of experienced experts to write our application requests to become part of that. We need the experts who are fluent in English, who will understand the situation and this problem of smaller cities, who really understand the specifics and the techniques, methodology of writing the European grant programs, because all our local and pro-UN and the Regional Development Foundation of Fund, we didn't have any problems. But when you're talking about reaching the international level, this becomes more difficult. That's why we found the Polish-Ukrainian Foundation. We entered into the partnership agreement with them, and they helped us to write this program, and we became the winner in the competition. And when we worked with this kind of public organization, Polish-Ukrainian, which had already some experience in winning the competitions, and they told us they knew about Voznesensk, about our plans and programs, and they were willing to help us. And like a bank has a credit history, and the communities have their own histories of implementing successful projects. If they have such a history, it's easier for such cities to ensure they have the cooperation of some other actors or players and who are ready to bring their money. In energy efficient city of Slavutych, Vitaliy Fomichev, mayor of Slavutych. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present the youngest city of Ukraine, this Voznesensk. We are only 29 years of age, and they say, how can you have problems if you're so young? But we have a lot of problems. What we proposed, 29% of decrease of the emissions into 27% in the emissions to the environment, at the same time parallel to the decreased consumption. My colleagues said a lot how to involve the community, how to make them active about the timeliness of those projects. I will put it this way. If we start today, we'll be successful in 10 years from now. You start tomorrow, we'll reach results in 10 years plus 1 day. So when we had to start the heat modernization of different facilities and structures of ours, the major stimulus are the tariffs which we have today. There are simple things, and my colleagues already mentioned those. In Dolyna, and I agree, 10% at least can be saved via the introduction of the changes into the system without any material expenditures or human resources. Just change the system. Monitoring, we have to take in consideration the opportunities of people working in those facilities. As for grants, Slavutych, or this young history, implemented 42 international projects, grant-related, co-finance, etc. We followed our own road. We have our own team which we educated, and we participate in many different directions of development. But at the same time, for us to understand what is the mayor's agreement or the joint project with the European Commission, we have a project for 925,000 euros. 721,000 European Commission financing portion, and the rest is ours for the heat installation of two facilities, one kindergarten and one high school. In the term of implementation is 20-something months. We already covered 14 months. We have not nailed a single nail yet, hammer the single name. It's not. We are not talking. They give us the money just to make our buildings warmer. We are talking about creating a stable, sustainable system of our relationship. We set up a group of managers. We purchase the software. We provide those our buildings monitoring. But so far we haven't started the work. We have to see why we need that, in order that later, without the money, the European Commission, just using our own money, to understand how we're going to build our economy. We have to have a payback period of 3 years, and then this project does not have to consume that much energy resources. 2 years ago, we took care of the energy monitoring of our housing buildings. Only in the A-B segments we consume a lot, because our people, we save a lot of money, because we introduced what the A-B segments, class of energy consumption, A, 2A, 3A. The higher the letter in the alphabet, the better is the level of energy consumption. Last year, in our community, we had such interesting actions or interesting transformations. By the way, since 2002 in Slavutych, we do not have the housing offices. We are talking about the communal offices. We do not have such an efficient form of ownership as communal. Believe me, it doesn't increase anywhere in the world. Nobody came up with better ideas than capitalism, efficient use of the available resources. There is no other way out of this situation. Last year, our people started to install the heat meters on their houses, so we achieved at least 10% saving or decrease of the consumption. Because without the meters, 24 degrees centigrade was not enough inside the buildings. Now we have the 10% decrease. And actually, the state had to take care of the installation of the heat meters in our house, and we would have a different situation. People would understand why they need that. And they need that to save their own money, to have the resources in order to take care of their families in the end of the story. So everything in our hands. And what is the future of Slavutych, Voznesensk, Slavutych depends upon us, upon our consumers. The state created the condition motivation, the level tariffs this year. How we are going to come up in the end of the heating season, how people have the money to pay for the heat supply, I don't know, even taking into consideration the subsidies. You never remember the Slavutych came on the map after the disaster, Chernobyl disaster. And the books of the NPP, we had all the communal offices, including the debts. We had to take care of paying back those debts. We had all the means of production, but 2 months, a month later, that given that 20% of the level of payment for the consumers, from the consumers, we understood that we won't live long. In 2002, we introduced the system of management of different houses on the level of the managerial company, based on different contests and competitions among the private companies, servicing companies, and we went further on. Now we are talking about the market relations with the district heating. And we have district heating, but in addition to our communal boiler house, there is a private boiler house, 10 kilowatt. They build in the private CHPP, and maybe some years from now, somebody will try to pay us to make us buy the heat from them. We have the solid fuel heat MPP. They find some 15% of saving and also make some money. Unfortunately, then the market economy, we do not have it, don't stand the chance other than the market economy. Now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Kyrchiv, Andriy Kyrchiv, the Executive Director of the Energy Efficient Cities of Ukraine. We understand from what we heard, most important is the unite for the cities. We are talking about the use of the accumulated experience, how they use the available situation, available opportunities, how other cities of Ukraine can be involved in this.
Thank you for this opportunity to be here and have the joy to listen to our guests from the city members of the association. It is very pleasant to hear not only these wonderful words about association, but also about those achievements that the cities reached in the time they work in this area. And also I would like to say that our towns, we see the best cities and towns here, and the minimum requirement, but very important one for those cities who want to become the members of Association of Energy Efficiency. This is they should develop sustainable projects, and we heard about the towns, how they reached what they wanted to reach. And here many recipes were told, and each city has its own way, so there should be motivation and a command team of specialists who work on this, and also obligatory the community should be involved, because at every stage, if you do not explain to the public why you do it, what you want to achieve, what will be the result, and what community gets as the result. So if you don't explain this to the public, there won't be any result. I will tell you about the association. We were created in the 2007. Lviv, Lutsk, and Slavutych, they were the founding members of this organization, and it's very pleasant that the representative of Slavutych is here and tell about success. And Anatoly Kyrchiv was the initiator of this organization, the person who died last year, and we joked, but this was half joke, half serious, that this was a cry in the wilderness, because he attended the conferences, and he said that there will be we should prepare people, because there will be some difficult times, and as they say, forewarned is forearmed, but this principle didn't work, and only those leaders of the cities who understood the situation, only them were able to achieve proper results. I would like you to tell us about European initiative, so-called initiative of the Union of Mayors. As we know, there are 7,000 towns throughout Europe who take part in this, and they are recognized in the EU as one of the best initiatives. And 120 cities joined this. And is it a story of success and the way of Euro integration? Could you tell us about it? I agree fully that this is an important and interesting strategic initiative of the European Union. And last year it was recognized as one of the best strategic initiatives of the European Union in 20 years. So this is a good result that is to the benefit of this union. All the representatives of towns that are here, they are the signatories of this agreement. And what it gives, I will tell you about it. This agreement came out of the initiative of a municipality that was in 2007 as the reaction of the third energy package of Euro Commission, and in the framework of this agreement, all the towns and cities they took obligations till 2020 to reduce the consumption of natural resources not less than 20%, and at the same time to reduce the greenhouse gases emission not less than 20%, and also to increase the share of renewable energy resources not less than 20%. So this was a voluntary initiative, and in 2009, in November in Brussels, they had the official ceremony of signing. Then there were 300 municipalities, their representatives, and among those 300, there were first 10 Ukrainian cities who signed this initiative. As of today, as Roman told us, there are 6,860 signatories of this agreement, and among them are 120 from Ukraine. Unfortunately, there are some rigid requirements. The signator should prepare sustainability action plan, and if the city is not ready with the plan, so then the participation is suspended until this plan is ready. As of today, the initiative itself was transformed because in October 2015, summing up the results and understanding that 2020 is approaching, it is understandable that to undertake these obligations is unreal. To achieve these results of 3 or 4 years, if others had, for example, 11 years to achieve the same results. So the initiative was to reform, to change the initiative itself, and that it should be the world initiative, not only the European Commission initiative at the level of UNO. Till 2030 is the horizon of this, so they undertake obligations to reduce greenhouse gases emissions not less than for 40%. And here we take into account the potential of the cities of Europe that had good financing and also technical progress that allows in many aspects to reach this result. At the same time, for some Ukrainian towns, that will be the challenge for those who signed this agreement. But we see that the cities address and they showed their attention to this issue, and they reached some results. And I believe that each time we will see the difference between those cities who do something and those who wait for some money provided by the government or money from some grants, but these grants, they do not fall from the skies. And taking as an example such towns, other cities signed this agreement, as I know. About 10 more cities signed this agreement, the agreement of mayors. So the energy of climate, it is renamed because there is a climatic component in this, and we hope that they will be successful. What I want to say, and it has been said today, that the participation in the initiative of the agreement of mayors, this is the participation in international cooperation. This is a huge progress in the sense that the cities and representatives or experts from those cities, they can speak one language with the towns and cities of European Union, with the cities of the world who joined this initiative. They can share experience, they can take part in joint projects. And I would like to say that the initiative itself, the initiative of signing the mayor's agreement, it doesn't mean that this city remains separate from others. It envisages a mechanism of support of this initiative, and here it is important to say that to support such an initiative, there are, of course, project and program products that are in the European Union, and also there is a structure, national, territorial agreements of mayors, and also there are national structures of support. National coordinators are state structures or bodies of governance, ministries, state agencies. Territorial coordinators are regional or oblast administrations, and the support structures are the unions of communities. We mean not what we know as united communities, but such unions as our organization, our association, and half year after signing of mayor's agreement became the single state structure to support this agreement, and we joined this, and I'm happy to tell about it without any shame. And we supported the realization of such projects, and we joined the success of our cities. Thank you. And before I give the floor to the audience for questions, in order to finalize the discussion, I have a question to each of you. We can imagine that we are in different cities, in different oblasts, and that we want to motivate to start this process in order to get results in 10 years. With what we should start with? So what should be said to the local government, the administration, through the media or otherwise? So what should we start with? Vladimir. Honestly speaking, it's difficult to say how to motivate the government. What should we say to them? I would paraphrase and I would express my opinion. In my opinion, success in this work, in the realization of strategy of sustainable development, the success is only there when the local government do not think about the elections, when they work in the sphere in order to improve conditions. And we started the work years ago, and these efforts in the sphere and warm credits and different types of financing, they are much needed because we are at the stage that we can use them effectively. And for other cities, these resources from the state and the decentralization of the budget and enough budget locally, it motivates them that this is not only the budget for just living today, but also to develop themselves, to take strategic decisions, to join the club of single-minded people, and the results will come. Not just wait for help through international donors, but and show the work once in 5 years, but to move from small to big, and this will yield political results as well as the trust and support to the local government from the side of the community, because people understand that there are additional funds and people wait for real results, and they should work in this sphere, and in prospect they should increase the comfort of people, the standard of their life in each town. And some towns are leaders, the houses are warmed, and different institutions are warmed, and others are, and the power in other cities is doomed because they do not have results. So if power does not listen to the people, this power should be changed then. Firstly, I believe there should be transparency in communication between public and society. The colleague from Dolyna is right. There is a resource that can be used for development, and there is a resource that can be included, and we should find mechanisms. The formula of success is really simple. So creativity, initiative, and hard work. If we work together, we will find these mechanisms. There is Association of Energy Efficient Towns. There are different projects. These are European, Ukrainian, and we can include them. But everything starts with
everything starts with us ourselves. We are prepared to that, and our authorities, whether they are prepared or not. If the authorities are not ready for that, that you have to change those authorities. The authorities have to make the life of their communities comfortable. We need to demand the comfortable conditions of residing and living in your respective cities. That's it. Vitaliy Lukov. I know your position regarding the fact that the first comes the community, but what can you recommend to the mayors? Thank you. I believe I'm more than positive that the last or few projects where we become the winners are demonstrative ones. Starting from the very first days, they educate the builders, the construction workers. They educate and train the youth. For example, to give an example, within the framework of our project, the vocational school actually had the context of the everyday energy efficient technologies and the different visions of that. Then the specialization of the builders and construction workers will have the practical training at those facilities. These costs alone, because they are going to be involved in the implementation of the real true-to-life projects for the European money, and any organization which goes through all the tender procedures organized by the European partners. This means the huge experience for the faculty and the students themselves. The demonstration lies in the fact that they educate the community, and the project which was selected in our city, the Central City Hospital, with the hundreds upon hundreds of the staff, and the users are thousands upon thousands, and actually every citizen of our city and our district go through this project since the first day of implement this project. So this kind of demonstration, and we invite our colleagues or mayors to come to us for this demonstration, but not when we are going to actual commission already this facility, but now. What was the cradle of this idea, how we came up with this project, what kind of economy or saving we expect? Because if this is going to be another monument which will not give us some kind of the saving of money, this will be the dead-born or stillborn monument. And that's why we do invite to come to us. We would be happy to share our own experience, and I'm positive in each city, in each small town, even if those towns or cities are not members of the energy efficient cities of Ukraine, they will have some positive experience. We're ready to exchange our experience. So welcome to Voznesensk, and believe me, you will have a very interesting trip, the more so that we have beautiful and picturesque landscape around our city. Mayor of Lutsk, what about you? It's very difficult to recommend anything because taking into consideration what has been done in our city. But briefly, not only our mayor or the chairman of our municipality, they have to cooperate with the local community. using different ways in telling what is what and how we came about that idea. All the mayors might be more open for cooperation with their respective communities. Thank you. And in conclusion, Mr. Andriy Kyrchiv, what can you recommend? Actually, it's very difficult to say anything because it's going to be a kind of open advertisement. I will repeat what I start with. Any city which would like to do anything about the energy efficiency, this city has to understand what and how they spend. First of all, we have to introduce the energy management system. This is a mandatory thing to do. If a city needs kind of assistance or help, or some kind of methodological or some true-to-life examples. So we would like to invite those cities to our association and to join the mayor's agreement, because we're talking about networking cooperation. We have about more than a dozen partners, and we have the EU associations, Climatic Alliance, and others, and we can actually, the cities with which we can strike our, or to set up our cooperation. As Vitaliy said, you can come and see with your own eyes. And there is one of the provisions in the efficient cities agreement. We have to work with the community. First of all, we are talking about the information and awareness building program, and which what is mandatory. We have to take care of the days and weeks of the stable energy, or let's say efficient energy. And I repeat myself, without that, your community will not understand and nor support you. I think that this is more or less the steps to be taken by different cities, and this is my advice to the association of such cities. Thank you. Any questions? So they give the floor to the journalists present here today. Can we have the mic? So please introduce yourself and ask your questions. Good afternoon. My name is Andriy. Legal reforms. First of all, I would like to thank Roman that at last we can hear the successful stories, not only negative stories regarding the attitude toward the energy sector. Very important to have some successful stories now. So my question to you is as follows. Maybe speaking about the future, I heard what they're doing now. Today, we have such a lengthy and painful process of the formation of the electric energy market and the natural gas market. According to European directives, the winners of this transformation are the consumers. They will have the right to select the supplier of the energy resources, who will provide the high-quality services and good price. My question to you, taking into consideration your requirements and your conditions, do you feel the need for the setting up of such an institution as the independent suppliers? Do you think it's necessary? What steps you visualize for such reformers in order to improve such an institute? For you, as for the cities, the major consumers of this reform, or users of this reform, who is ready to answer that question? Well, this is a very good question. Yesterday I had a telephone call, and I can share this information with you. After the scheduled inspection of the pressure and the high-rise buildings, the inspection by the gas supply company was provided. One of the owners of the apartment, according to the gas supplying company, and his indebtedness, this owner of 200 hryvnia. He claims there is no debt like that. They cut off the whole standpipe. That means the 5 apartments, all in all. And they tell him take care of this situation, but no other country. If we have about the market-based relationship with the suppliers, we can't even imagine this case. Even if there is a 200 indebtedness, why should suffer other departments? Even if there is another idea where they can prove by documents that, for example, I paid this sum of money, why I have to take care of let's say, and make all the ends meet? It's not my problem. It's the problem of the supplier. So this is the conflict between the supplier and the consumer. We have absolutely upside down situation. I pay to you, you owe to me, and not the situation when I offer you my services or commodity, and I know in advance that you are going to owe me. So we are both hands for any kind of transformation, for creating a civilized market of the suppliers of energy carriers. Perhaps this is my issue, because I was talking about the market relations and the private structures involved. In fact, or indeed, if we selected the European vector or development of our country and our country being introduced or joining the international community, you can find any successful example of non-market economy. Slavutych doesn't have the gas, but the gas is in our boiler house. This kind of paradox. But we try to create the market of the thermal energy. It's a normal thing when we go to some European country and we have one gas pipeline, and different consumers get the gas from different suppliers. This is a normal thing. The whole world lives on those principles. Why in Slavutych we can have different suppliers? The system is ours. This is a communal system. It's a high risk to give it away at the modern development stage of Ukraine. It's a high risk to give it to private hands, but we have to have different suppliers. You were talking about the electric energy. I'm positive this is the case all over Ukraine. I was talking about the Oblenergo, Kyiv Energy in the case of Kyiv. Do you have any chance to sell your electric power? Unless a person actually signs the agreement with you for the supply of electric power, he will have to go different circles of inferno, until he can do that. So again, the question is, who is number one person in this game? So the market relations is the only correct way. The state has to take care to create absolute transparent European relations in this market. We should not invent Ukrainian bicycle. It has been invented, it wasn't invented a long time ago. So what the authorities can do for the enterprise not to be in the way of their actions. This is the main thing the authorities can do. I absolutely support the opinion of my colleagues that the market is absolutely required, but I'll try to address it from different angle. However, whatever we wish or try to do, each city has its own their own functions. If we think and we try to take care of the local authorities about our communities, this can be compared with the case, for example, you go to a market to buy some, let's say, some cereals. Our task is when a person goes to buy some of the cereals. Our task for this person to have the bag without any holes, not for the cereals not to be lost through those holes. A different story. How much supermarkets would create by this state, because this is the function of our authorities. I already mentioned that the successful mayors are those who are not afraid to lose during the elections because they are not populism-based mayors, so to say, their platforms. The state, if we want some transformation changes, those who rule today, those who are doomed to take unpopular steps, we have to support them. there was a situation when they tried to take care of the reforms, and we nod our heads. Okay, the gas for 50 complex, and we need feedback. We need together to say something correct. We have to take care of our portion of the efforts, and the authorities have to take care of their portion, creating the market. This is my opinion.
So, recently, several months ago, the majority of towns that participated in the agreement demonstration project, they visited Slovakia, and there was an interesting moment. There was a question to Slovak experts: how do you establish cooperation with energy supply companies? And they said that we have 5 of them, so we can choose. And this was the answer to a question. Unless we have choice, there will be that situation we have now. And it looks like in some way some people try to preserve monopoly. This is the most dangerous threat, and I hope that I'm mistaken. So some people want to preserve monopoly and call it reform. Do you have other questions? Please ask. Good afternoon. Lyudmila Degtyarenko, Berezan newspaper. Question to Andriy Kyrchiv. Your association was created for the mayors of the cities, and is there any hope for village heads? I understand your question. This is not simple to give the answer to this. The union was created for the heads of the towns, and as of today, I think we should review our charter, because there are some requirements about NGOs, and we are forced to review some things, and we will introduce some changes, and there will be maybe the energy efficiency community will be included, not only towns and cities. And I can tell you that we have villages. They ended last year, and we believe that we will review this issue. And this is not for mayors. This is for the communities. This is the main. In order to understand that here, not the mayors are participants, but the community themselves. So the question to you, do you have a united community, or is this an ongoing process? So we do not have united communities in the Cherkivsky region, where there is only one such community. But we have large villages, Kobliva, Rugabakivka, and there is great infrastructure. If they unite, it will be easier for them. Thank you. Do you have other questions? There are no. Thank you, participants. One more question. After this wonderful presentation, there is one more question. So the cities produce wastes. And what about processing of this waste? Because there are boilers that there is special additional generation of power through using wastes. And you know that there are many dumps in Ukraine. Maybe everyone wants to answer this, but I am the first one. So, in Voznesensk, a land plot is allocated. There is a special project that underwent examination, and 5 years ago we started construction at the expense of the Joint Fund of the Regional Development Fund and the city. And then we stopped, and we were in the list of these 10 projects that should have been financed through the state budget, but this project stopped, and we now created a cluster 40 kilometers around Voznesensk and Yuzhno-Ukrainsk town. It's about 30,000. We have 36,000, and in Yuzhno-Ukrainsk there is more than 40,000 people. And our project is for this cluster, for this amount of people. There are several components: sorting, then processing of wastes. But we try to find how to do it properly, and we know that there is a plant near Lutsk where the foreign investors built this plant, and this plant cannot work because of legislation. There are problems. There are no rules of game. There should be a program, state program, I believe, that would clearly identify that if this is business, it should be profitable. And if, for example, if you take it to the budget of the city, this huge enterprise, that we made some steps, and periodically there are some fraudsters that say that they have everything and they are ready. Just give us this land plot, give us this facility, and we will do everything. And when you say, tell us where your ideas work, there are no such models. They cannot show this. And now we negotiate with potential participant of the joint enterprise. But it is too early to speak about results. We should see the results. Especially during last months, there was some people feel that they can earn somehow, and they try to find facilities where that are ready, and we need clear algorithms provided by the state to support such business. And I agree with my colleague, 100% that should be private funds, private business. But there should be legislative basis provided by the state, and we should be participants, partners. So we can sell waste, we can collect and bring, and they process waste. So unfortunately, I heard only that there are communal or state enterprises that just burn this waste and get hit. But we search for partners at the moment. Lutsk town, they bring this waste to Blizhev village, where a sorting line was built jointly with communal enterprises and the private investors, and the donors invested into this line. And as of today in Lutsk, only one line works, and now there are negotiations on the building of a waste-burning plant. So the final stage, the documentation was elaborated, but the community of the village, they are against of this waste-burning plant. They do not want it to be built because there is, and we do not have the opportunity to build it in our city because investors that come, they want that there should be about 7 or 8 hectares of land, but we do not have such an opportunity. We cannot allocate such a big land plot. We don't have such amount. So, and in Rivnenska Oblast, in Rivne town, we were in Ivano-Frankivsk, and there was a presentation of such a plant, and this plant was built in 2014. It worked for 1 year. It created the special granules, and there was a contract concluded, and these products were used by cement plant and used for production of cement. And we had talks with the representative of the plant, and from the end of 2015, plant works only for 50%. So they process wastes, and these products, they go to the storage facility, so they have such a situation.
Simply, again, I allow myself to say a few words as a representative of the city, which is the smallest out of present here, especially if we are talking about with the big distanciation from different populated area. What is the effect of that? Vitaliy mentioned that this is a business. Waste is a project which has to bring, or which has to be dealt with by a special enterprise, which is a money-oriented ones. In the civilized world, this is the case. In order to make it happen, we have to remove the legislative barriers existing today, because I've got the impression that the laws in this sphere were written for the big populated areas or big cities, which are interested that. We are talking about the Ivano-Frankivsk. It's not applicable because, you know, the Ivano-Frankivsk regional center fits into this scheme. They have a big amounts, but we were talking about the Dolyna. We have an awful statistics, and the worst in the Ivano-Frankivsk region. Actually, more than 50% of villages are not covered by, let's say, such a service as a removal of the waste. Because if you come to a person, say 5 hryvnia for the taking away the waste, he said, no, I've never been doing that. I'm not going to do that any longer. We have our twin city in Poland. We have a very similar situation about the scattered pattern of the cities. They have a kind of united community, and from a legislative point of view, they have everything in order to take care of this process and fund the investors. And this problem is not the matter of the problem of the local residents when you have to visit from door to door. In their case, this is a tax. Whether willy-nilly you have to pay this kind of ecological environmental tax. And if the local community can do something in order to attract the investor, they work with the investor. They have the union or the unification of different communities which are interested in utilization of the waste. They actually unite together. They fund the investor. They have the necessary attractive amounts for the investors. Which can actually invest their money, and this is a very good picture. And they do not to bury the waste anywhere, because the companies come to them, which have a very big capabilities of treating or processing those waste, and use them for the heat generating facilities. The same should be here. We have to remove the artificial legislative barriers or hindrances. We have to learn from the experience of our nearest neighbors, and given that, everything is possible. Thank you. A short comment. Generally speaking, taking an example of Ukraine, we shouldn't say that we have to reform medicine. We take care of the reform, we reach some kind of reasonable relations, everything is okay. In Ukraine, it's a different story. The same holds for the cities, towns, villages, and populated areas. You cannot be energy efficient if you're dealing just with one aspect of that problem. You're dealing with the waste management or waste removal. This is something which is required. We have to change the mentality of the people. What is the kind of separate gathering different kind of waste? This is a resource which must be used, and we have to make people aware and understand that this is something necessary to do. It's very easy to. It's very difficult to teach the people how to take a separate, let's say, dumpsters, for different kind of waste. And again, we're talking about the situation of energy efficiency. These children were coming from school and used to ask their parents how much energy our bulb consumes. And for example, how much we pay for our energy consumption, why we do not install the special energy saving bulbs or lamps or whatever else. So let's use the experience of McDonald's, for example. We have to teach our children, and then we force and make their parents to behave accordingly. How we can educate people to take care of the separate waste dumpsters or whatever else. And, the situation is very bad, especially in this respect, especially when we have the legislative barriers. So everything lies in the kind of relationship we have. A few more words on my part, echoing what Yuri said, even the law-obedient country like Germany is, over 30 years it took them to teach the people to sort out different ways, and I don't mean that we have to follow the same road, and which will take another 30 years for us to teach the people. We have some experience already in place. Maybe we can do that within the short period of time. There are several aspects which we have to talk all over and over again, and which we can do anything about for many years now. We are talking about the protection investments. Sometimes investor does want to come here without understanding what his money is going to be used for. And then the question of the land and the environment. Now the people who actually used to believe them to be owners of a certain plot of land, they are very jealous about different things which can actually can pose any kind of threat or risk to them. Especially we are talking about a big plot of land, dozens of hectares, for example. Repeatedly, investors come here with the outdated and obsolete technologies. We also have to take that in consideration. Not all of them offer some the state-of-the-art equipment or technologies, and we also have to think about that. And here we need the assistance of the experts and the research in Ukraine. We're talking about the comprehensive approach to the waste management. We have the organic and solid waste, but again, they contain the plastics and many other things. We have to have an individual approach. Some of the organic substances can be used for the biogas purposes, but again, depends who is going to deal with that and how seriously they're going to treat this specific issue. We're talking about different plants or factories. Graphic examples, we have the demonstrative projects with Volyn City. They propose to build a big waste management waste processing plant, but they need the waste to be taken to them from 3 or 4 different districts. We're talking about the huge capacity now, but kind of the technology reminds the pyrolysis of the waste. Pyrolysis, and the waste can be used for providing heat for the several of the neighboring towns, but this project has been suspended because the investor doesn't dare to come there. They have the land already allocated for that project. So now we are talking about the protection investments. This is a graphic example of the situation available in this country today. Thank you, Andriy. Thanks to all the participants in our press conference. The record of this discussion will be available on the website of the UCMC. Also, all the presentations will be uploaded there with all the comments, etc., etc. Thanks to everybody. Goodbye.